Hey guys, welcome back to Unqualified Critics. So huge news today, just broke. AtGames is bringing their Legends pinball out in time for Christmas 2020, although there aren't going to be enough stock to go around as you might have guessed. So if you want one, get ready to fight for it. But man, it might be worth it. The deal on this seems incredible. So I'm going to go through the information they've provided. It's a lot. They've shared a lot of information, but I'm going to try to give you the stuff I think is most important. And then beyond that, I guess, just get hyped because this thing looks like a beast. It will have, in addition to a 32-inch monitor that is 1080p 60 frames per second, full high def screen, you're going to get a full high def 1080p 60 frames per second back box display. So in other words, the back box is almost entirely one big LCD display. The Arcade one up, by comparison, is an 8-inch back box display, which is fine. I don't mind a smaller one. Real pinball machines usually just have a small rectangular LED readout anyway, but holy crap, two 1080p 60 frames a second screens. The PCB that is powering this must be an absolute monster. I'm excited to see what will be possible in terms of emulating modern arcade games on a PCB like this, and wonder if AtGames is ever going to release an arcade stand-up machine with the computer that is inside this bad boy. Now, it will include licensed titles from the Pinball Arcade from Farsight Games. A lot of Gottlieb titles here, a lot of titles that you saw on Toy Shock, but there are going to be 22 of them, so you're getting more. And, these are all real arcade type tables. That's kind of the deal here. Now, there also will be options to stream, as you probably would expect. You could stream from Steam from your PC. You can stream from AtGames Cloud. You can connect USB devices to your table and play that way. A lot of options. The only one I'm really interested in are those natively run built-in tables. And you also will be able to expand that list. So you will be able to buy additional tables. They are working on brand new pinball tables that I don't think have ever before been seen, based on Taito Games. So Taito, of course, the retro game publisher. AtGames clearly has a good relationship with them because they just released 47 new titles to the Legends Ultimate for people that have owned the 1.0 for a while, right? Well, now they're going to do pinball titles based on many of those games. So that looks exciting. I don't know the pricing for the additional tables. I would kind of guess $5 to $10 a table, but I don't know, maybe it'd be a little less than that. But I just like the idea that you can expand it. That was something I really wanted to see from Arcade One Up. In addition to just the monitors being enormous and that sweet 60 frames a second, this is 150 pounds shipped. That's with the carton and everything, so it'll come in a little less than that. Reason I bring that up, the Arcade One Up is expected to only be 60 to 70 pounds. We're talking double plus the weight of the Arcade One Up. This is a big boy. The glass overlay on the monitor, that's real glass on this machine. This is going to be $599. A, I can't imagine they're making much profit on this thing. And B, I can see why there will be shortages, because it's $600 with these kind of specs. It seems crazy. Compare that to Arcade One Up, which is going to be $550. Smaller monitors. Surely it's going to have less horsepower under the hood because it's driving lower resolution secondary monitor. I mean, this thing is a monster, but as I mentioned, you can expect shortages. AtGames was very upfront about that. It is frustrating that they haven't been able to get full supply into the stores with a lot of their products, but it's also a good problem to have. I mean, hopefully you're able to get it if you want one in time for holiday. But if not, they do plan to aggressively restock through 2021. Whenever you sell a product at almost a loss like this, I can imagine it's tough to keep everything in stock. But they went all out on this pinball machine. If the software is good, then this machine is going to be the definitive home arcade pinball. Now, I know you can always build a better virtual pinball yourself, but as far as a commercial off-the-shelf product, this looks pretty sweet. It will support tilt, of course. It's going to have accelerometers. It will have haptic feedback, so when your ball hits the bumpers and stuff, you're going to feel that, same as Arcade One Up. Now, my question for AtGames was, all right, we've got all these different tables you can play from streaming and all these different services. Will they support all the features of this cabinet? And the answer was not necessarily. It sounds like the native tables will support all the features of the hardware, but tables that you stream yourself from Steam and stuff, they may or may not feature it. I know if you play Pinball FX, you have to contact Pinball FX to get it unlocked for cabinet mode, so you get the secondary back box display. That is available. I don't think it costs anything, but you just have to go through a little bit of a process. So if you plan to stream games, you're going to have to do that. For me, streaming games is nice to have, but I'm much more interested in how those native tables perform. And I'm looking forward to being able to download additional tables and pay to do that. They're going to have more tables coming in addition to the Pinball Arcade stuff. And those are going to be, I don't know if it's just limited to this, but at least some of those tables are going to be based on Taito arcade releases. So you're going to have pinball tables that are brand new, never before seen, based on old school Taito games, which sounds pretty sweet to me. And of course, the big question everybody wants to know, can I play Stern tables on this? No, they don't have the license for Stern. It seems like nobody has the license for Stern digital pinball. I know the Stern digital pinballs exist, and you're only going to be able to play it over streaming, but Stern has yet to license it for a hardware maker. And I've talked about Stern before, but they're very protective of their business model. My guess is they don't want to risk giving up any of their sales because somebody bought the Legends pinball and plays their tables that way. I think that's stupid because the traditional sales channels for real pinball machines is getting real small these days as arcades struggle with trying not to go out of business. Same with bars, all these companies that would buy pinball machines. So my hope is Stern breaks at some point and comes to the table and provides tables for people like for companies like the Legends Pinball, but it hasn't happened yet. Now, separate from this hardware, here's something that's kind of cool. If you get the BIT LCD monitor, that is the secondary LCD monitor, which is a marquee in the Legends Ultimate. I think it's only compatible with the 1.1, but it's a secondary display. Well, then Pinball will leverage that second display. So you can play standing up and then you still get the two displays going. Now, the thing is, if you run any of these pinball tables, which will be available on the Legends Ultimate, you're going to get less performance because, again, this PCB and this Legends pinball is a monster, but the PCB and the regular ALU is pretty basic stuff. So it's going to run at 720p, 30 frames per second. And I talked to someone from AtGames who's tested it. They say it plays great. It's still a lot of fun. They wanted to do that to make it available to everyone. Now, I look at that and say, man, if this was my company, I think I'd probably want to push people to buy the pinball table to play pinball. However, as a consumer, I very much appreciate that they are giving us options. So I will be able to play that on my AOU 1.0. Am I looking forward to that? Not really. Playing pinball on a horizontal monitor is not that interesting to me, but playing pinball on a dedicated machine like this is super interesting. And again, I got to tell you, at that 150-pound weight, when you push up against this to nudge it, which it will register nudge with those accelerometers, that's probably going to feel pretty close to a real pinball, which might be 300 or 400 pounds. We're not that far off. It's a lot different than playing a 70-pound table. So I'm excited to see this. I think it looks pretty good. My final thoughts on this, and it's not released yet, obviously. If you just told me in a vacuum, hey, you got two options. One is going to be a pinball table with artwork from all these different machines collaged onto it. And then another one is going to be just a dedicated Attack from Mars machine. It's going to have some other tables from those publishers, but it's going to have the artwork from Attack from Mars. It's going to look like the real table, but mini. I would pick the Attack from Mars in a vacuum. But when I look at this and I think, man, this is way beyond the specs. We're talking double the screen real estate between both of these monitors that we're going to get with Arcade 1-Up or Toy Shock. And it only costs $50 more, plus you're getting real glass. The hardware here is pretty hardcore. Then there's no comparison. I think you got to go with the AtGames if you can find it in stores, which that's going to be the trick. Thanks for watching. Let me know below what you think of the AtGames Legends Pinball. Hopefully this hits stores soon, but we're going to see this come into retail, I think, pretty quickly. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Hey, consider hitting that join button to support the channel, and thanks so much for watching.